Safety first. Oh no! No! Oh no! Oh no! Oh Jesus! Okay, guys. So I am in the middle of filming this is, why I love this chainsaw video on this Husky 55. But I just got done with what I was going to say with all that. And now it's time for me to focus on the modification that I'm doing. If you've been following along, then you know that what I have on here is a highway closed port piston and cylinder setup, and I have yet to be able to get it to actually work well. I can't figure out why exactly it's not working well. I've ported it. I did a good job porting it. The numbers are good, and I share those numbers if you want to find those. Those are in the video for this. But I can't really figure out exactly where I went wrong and why it's not responding the way that it should. And I'm about ready to just get the open port cylinder for these and just go that route. But before I do that, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to give it an effort, a last ditch effort on this cylinder. And that's going to be, I'm going to swap out this piston for a steel 028 piston that has the pop-up and everything. I believe I'm going to need to take just a little bit off of the top of it because I think the spark plug hits it, right? I know that it only has, with the gasket in place, it only gives me 17 thousandths on my squish, which that's fine. I'm more concerned about the spark plug hitting the top of it. So let's get into it and I'll tell you why I am going with the 028 piston. Okay, so here we are. The stock piston, actually this is a highway piston, but this is the steel 028 piston. Now the reason why I want to go with this has nothing to do with compression. I will get more compression from this. However, I think my big problem was that this one is a full circle piston, and this one right here has the cutaways on the side. That cylinder, they're the same, and you can see there's a tiny bit of height difference. I might have to take some off the top of that. I'll let you know what I have to do. But the cylinder that I'm using, see, these things are normally a complete open port cylinder. I'm sorry you can't really see in there very well. And well, this highway cylinder here is semi-closed port, and you've got that wall right there. And that wall, I think, is blocking flow. The piston is causing it. You know what I mean? The piston is causing the blockage because there are no provisions for the flow to go around the piston. So I'm going to install this steel 028 windowed piston, see how it goes. So now the only thing left to do is to take it out, put it in some wood, and see if we made a difference. I forgot to mention, I did not take anything off the top of that steel 028 piston. Put it in there. I got about 17 thousandths squish on it, which is high, low. I don't know. But the general consensus is don't have a squish smaller than 0 to 20 thousandths of an inch. All right. The reason that that is a thing is because whenever everything heats up, it swells. And so does your rod. So the rod length will actually get longer, which creates an issue of your piston smacking the top of the cylinder. So also just movement. You know, that piston's not just going down fast, it's coming up fast as well. And there's play in those bearings. So 20 thousandths is a safety number. Typically though, that number was developed by people that were modifying saws for the logging industry and racing and things like that. And the reason why that is important to note is because nobody was messing with a 32 millimeter stroke saw whenever they were coming up with those numbers. Those were 70cc plus saws. That's what I believe anyways. And so with this thing having a shorter stroke, that stroke will elongate less. So I think that we're going to be fine with that 17,000 squish. And if not, then I guess my piston will smack the top of that cylinder. And I'm okay with that. Okay, I have not fired it or tuned it. So let's see how it goes. It's got compression for days. What's up with that? Okay, so still not that impressive, honestly. I think what I'm going to do now is, well, I'm going to run the stock saw. I've got it here. So I'll go ahead and start switching that out. Okay, so yeah, something is broken. It's just as simple as that. There's just there's just not a chance that it's performing like that, and everything be perfectly fine. It's just so now I will say this: the both the carburetors are Zama. And whenever I went to the 028 piston, it had a shorter skirt on it. And since it had a shorter skirt on it, then that's going to mess with my intake timing. And I have not went back and checked and done anything with that at all. I didn't think about it until afterwards. Also, seeing how the crown of that piston on the 028 is taller, it's also going to mess with my transfer and exhaust timing numbers. But it will put those in a safe zone. You know, it'll put those in a safe zone. But with the intake side, it's going to change my numbers for the intake and give it a lot longer duration. So whereas before, I'm not sure what my numbers were. I'd have to go back and look in my little book. But before, I think that my intake numbers were something like 178. Or no, I think I remember I had 156. Yeah, which would have been 78 on the floor. I think I had 155 or 156 on the intake duration, which would lead to a 78 degree opening. And with the shorter skirt on that piston now, it's very likely that my intake is opening at like 82 degrees or something like that, you know, so which would give it like 164 degrees of duration, which is good until you start spitting back through your carburetor. And the only thing that I can say on that matter is that I did pop off the tops just to ensure what carburetors they were running, and they're both running the Zama carb, and then I put the tops back on. Why is that important? Well, even though I didn't open it up to inspect this, I didn't notice any spit back. Those things have, you would be able to see the red oil all over the filter if it was getting excessive spit back. It was wanting to die on me after the cut, all the way through, and then let off the trigger. It's wanting to die, and I'm not sure what was causing that. In my head, in the moment, I was so concerned with the piston hitting the spark plug or the top of the cylinder. I'm not sure, I was just so, that was in my head, and I probably wasn't thinking straight. But anyways, yeah, the mystery continues. I think at this point, what we do is, the easiest thing to do would be switch that coil over. Because what I've seen consistently, absolutely consistently, is that whatever performance modifications I make to this saw, it is halted. It doesn't cut faster than stock, but by just the smallest of margins, just a little bit. And well, that tells me it's an RPM issue. Now, in this particular step, I could possibly have too much compression that it's not getting above a certain RPM, but I don't see that. Because, I mean, it's not like it's spinning fast RPMs. Like, is it the difference between 13.5 and 14.5? Yeah, maybe. But we ain't even close to that. That thing in the cut's probably only doing 9,000. I mean, it's slow. It's dog slow. And the stock one is exactly the same. So I'm like, what? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. What I am considering doing is buying just a cheap cylinder. You know, you can get these cylinders real cheap. If anybody knows what the best name brand of the cheap cylinders, the cheap ones, I know there's Highway, but that's like $80 or $100. Well, I want to buy one that's like $30. Put that on this chainsaw, and then just sell it. And then concentrate on the one that is currently completely stock, because it's in better condition anyways. It's real pretty. I mean, the plastic isn't faded. It's perfect. It's perfect. So, yeah, if you know what the cheap cylinder, the best, you know, put a tag in the comments. You know, well, you know what I'm saying, like a link to the eBay auction. You know, of the actual best cheap cylinder that I can get for the Husqvarna 55 piston and cylinder, and we just swap that out and say sayonara. I have no need. I'm not driven to find out what is wrong with that saw. But it is odd. I mean, even if my porting wasn't all that good, I should still be killing the stalker. The stalker doesn't even have a muffler mod on it. And I've got a full-on pipe, you know, a custom pipe. So, yeah, it's kind of baffling. What is holding it back? One could point the finger towards the carburetor, but it's got the same damn carburetor, and it works great. That chainsaw always starts and fires up perfectly. I changed crank seals on it because whenever I got it from my chainsaw shop. I paid $50 for the whole thing, and all it needed was a cylinder, and you know, it fried the cylinder, piston cylinder. And so, well, I mean, the piston cylinder was fried. They were definitely fried. So I changed those crank seals. So it's got new crank seals in it. All the gas is good. There's no air leaks, or at least there hasn't been. But it is baffling. It's like, what is it? Is it the coil? I mean, I mean, it's just not spinning. It doesn't seem like it's limited, because whenever it's limited, typically you're like, you know, it hits. You know, the coil stops producing spark. So at this point, yeah, I think I'll probably just swap out that piston and cylinder, and keep that, and put that on the nicer chainsaw, and see if it still is lackluster there, you know. But of course, there are many of you that'll probably say, well, just take the stock cylinder off of the stock saw and swap it over. Well, I don't want to do that. I want to keep the stock cylinder. That way I'll have good testing. I can port both of them if I want to. And definitely the stock cylinder is going to be better than a Chinese cylinder on these. So, anyways, I am looking for a partner cylinder for this. Either a Johnson Red 590 cylinder or a, I'm not 100% sure, but I think the partner 5500 cylinder will go right on this. But Acre's site, it says that the partner 5500 has like 34 millimeter stroke. And I think that's wrong. I'm not sure though. I mean, if it does, then that's going to really complicate things, and it won't fit like I think that it will. I was pretty certain that the 5500 had the exact same cylinder as the Poland 325. Now we're getting in the weeds here, guys. If you guys aren't an enthusiast and stuff like that, you know, hang on tight, because it's like, what the frick are they talking about? You know, most people don't even know that the Poland 325 exists, or existed. But what the 325 is, it is a partner 5000 or 5000 plus, but instead of having a 45, I believe the way that this worked was the partner 5000 was 44 millimeter bore. The partner 5000 plus was 45 millimeter bore. I could be wrong about that. Whatever. The Johnson Red, the same saw. Partner 5000, Johnson Red 490, same saw. All right. The Johnson Red was very clear. It had 44 millimeter for the 490. For the 590, it had 45 millimeter. Okay. All these are the same saws. Well, what people don't know about is the Poland 325. The Poland 325 is also the same saw. It is the same saw, but they went even a step further and have a 46 millimeter piston and cylinder. Now, I do have a Poland 325, but I'm not going to rape that cylinder for this Husqvarna. That 325 is, I mean, not that it's valuable. I mean, it should be. And, you know, maybe in 4 years' time, whenever my channel's huge and everybody loves Poland now because Bodie. Because of Bodie. But it's not worth a whole heck of a lot. But my point is, though, that I have a 46 millimeter closed port partner cylinder that I could put on this Husqvarna. However, I'm not going to. So I'm looking for a 46 millimeter or a 45 millimeter partner cylinder to put on this Husqvarna. So the partner cylinder is the same thing as the Johnson Red cylinder. So a Johnson Red 590. If you have a good cylinder or a cylinder that can be salvaged, please let me know. I'm interested. And even better is if you can confirm my suspicions. And I'm not talking about doing an internet search, because the internet is built on a bunch of people talking a bunch of bullshit. Now, some of them know what they're talking about. Some of them do not. A lot of them look at it and go, yeah, it's the same saw. And they never break out a set of calipers. So if you can confirm my suspicions that a partner 5500 is, in fact, 32 millimeter stroke with a 46 millimeter bore, then that would be lovely. I would love it if you could go out to your partner and figure this out for me, and then get back to me, and then say, and as a matter of fact, Bodie, here is a piston and cylinder setup that you can put to use. That's what I would love. So anyways, yeah, because I want this. I like the 55. I like it a lot. And I want to push it. I still have this theory that maybe possibly the Johnson Red 2055 cylinder will work on this chainsaw. The only difference, I don't know for sure, so don't go getting crazy. But I think that it might with, but you would have to do some changes to the intake. The intake on the Johnson Red 2055 is most certainly, I have confirmed this, different than the intake setup on the Husky 55. So you would have to do something with the intake. Probably just switch over to the 2055 parts. It's probably all you'd have to do. But anyways, that's enough for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. I am working again today on Stubby and building a new bed for him. Gonna have a fun little video coming out for that. And I think that you guys will like it. Hopefully I'll be able to, I won't finish today, but hopefully on Thursday, I will actually have you guys a video so that you can see it. Maybe, maybe not. But anyways, I'm out.